I think maybe during this talk they will answer about it. But one thing I is wondering about, this started as a reaction or a possibility or a necessity in the crisis. And it's fun and it's nice. And I'm wondering also, is it possible for you to continue this kind of activities and also live with it? That is something I wonder about. But I think maybe you will talk about it during the talk now. So maybe I should open questions from you. This is recorded, so everybody needs to talk in the microphone.
Okay, so first of all, I'm very happy to see all these people from Spain that I admire very much. Unfortunately, I have only seen the presentation of Basurama and Rancon Publics. I have one question and a couple of observations. The first question is for Basurama, because one of the things that you were mentioning at some point in your presentation was that art asks questions, but architecture solves. And I think that, I have to say that I strongly disagree with that point. Maybe I misunderstood you, because I think that it's kind of dangerous to think that there could not be an architecture without point of criticality, an architecture that could unveil certain issues, like an architecture that could discover certain issues as well, an architecture that could ask questions more than resolve certain issues. No, that would be the first question for Basurama. The other thing, or the first observation, is that one of the things that happens, so that I observe in these kind of conversations and in other conversations as well, is that there's a certain exoticization of the idea of the absence of the specific knowledge of the architect, which I think that it's interesting, but at the same time I think that it's a little bit dangerous as well. Because, I mean, it's been many thousands of years of knowledge, and I think that it's extremely important that we take in consideration the citizens of the city and that we talk to them. We are the first ones that do it, but that doesn't mean they can really resolve certain urban issues. They do not have the specific knowledge about the infrastructure. They do not have the specific knowledge about one thing. So when, for example, Rancon Publics say that they are articulators, I think that it's very appropriate. No, I think that it's good. But I also think that probably the neighbors are not necessarily going to resolve well what will happen in squares. No, okay. And the last thing is actually about the issue of participation by itself, because I think that it has become somehow a big cliché. I think that we are also absolutely guilty. I mean, we make our projects with the participation of the neighbors and citizens, etc., etc. But I think that we have to be a little careful with it, because before it was the green and sustainability, and sometimes it's used as a justification for the quality of lack of quality of some projects. And I think that now it could happen with participation as well. That the use of participation of the public doesn't mean that the results are going to be necessarily good. So these are the two comments.
Yeah, that's good. Who wants to start? And yeah.
I have to say that you answered your same question. You were saying in your phrase, they wouldn't know how to solve. Art is not solving anything. Doesn't want to solve.
How are you defining art? Sorry, it's very difficult to understand.
It's your problem, the definition of art. I'm saying that. Art doesn't want to... No, I'm asking the question you made. You made me. I'm asking the question you made me. You sent a question to Basurama, and you said, is there any architecture that can propose questions? And I said, no. No, architecture is there to solve. Whenever it's asking question, it's hard. It's just a question of borderlines. Let's put the borderline somewhere or forget about it. I forget about it, but I want to ask questions. That's the thing. I don't want to solve solutions. I don't want to give solutions to anyone.
But then, what do you think about that super beautiful project that you have shown, actually? I mean, first of all, there's a certain degree of architectural knowledge in order to be able to build it, in order to be able to know if it's dangerous or not to use certain materials because maybe they could retain water, etc., or to hang this beautiful plane made of wood. So you really need a specific architectural knowledge, but also it is an urban project. It's more architectural under my point of view than art.
All right, I give. That's great. I mean, I don't want to impose, but the thing is that I don't want to solve anyone's problems. I want to ask questions. I call it art. You can call it whatever. It's not. I mean, it's not important difference, but it is important difference. I want to. Basurama wants to. Me especially, and the Taliban in this case, in Basurama. But all of us want to ask questions. We don't want to give solutions to anyone. We think it's not good. That's one thing. Second thing, as long as I know, architecture is a disaster. Disaster. We can count here together 1 building each. I don't know how many, 70 people. And we will not have enough great buildings, very good buildings, to number 1 for 1 person here, for every one of us. The great buildings we know, the great architectural projects, whatever, urbanism, situation, people, space, location, we will not get to 70 great projects. Can you believe it? So I'd rather have the mistakes with my people than with the architects. That's it. I give you the. Sorry.
By the way, I admire your work a lot, but I disagree with this.
Great.
Maybe we have several great buildings, but maybe they are not trendy enough to be in magazines, etc., etc. So we don't know that. You know, I come from Latin America. There are several buildings, fantastic, that never has been published. So maybe I disagree with that. Okay. This is the first thing. And about
that doesn't make them. I mean, I double my bets. We will not find 50 perfect buildings.
well, this is, what do you mean by perfect?
All in.
Okay.
We will not find a single one.
No, I wanted to say something about participation. I agree. Participation is the new black, completely. As green was the new black 3 years ago, participation is the new black now, because everybody wants to do so. And this links with your other question. I think architecture is important, and all of us are important because we have the knowledge to link all the desires of the citizen, the administration, because we know a little bit, we have moved in this like a blue-red spectrum, and I think we can act as a facilitator with all of this. So maybe participation by itself can be dangerous, but participation in a good way can be really strong. So I think that the role of the architect is really important to have a good participation, as Giancarlo Di Carlo did in the 70s or 60s, I don't know.
I will answer. I don't know which answer I'm going to answer, but I want to say that I'm very happy to be an architect. It has cost me a lot to be an architect, so I'm very happy.
Come on, man, you can give it.
There is something that is happening also in Spain, that we are very used to put labels to the things. This is that, whatever. So we can say that very renowned architects in Spain are calling the young ones the anti-system architects. I don't agree at all with this. I mean, I love to be an architect, I like to be an architect, but I don't consider myself anti-system in the way they want to present us this way. I believe, again, that there is a hybrid position in which me, as a young architect, I'm practicing or delivering this kind of work in which, again, we are doing this kind of bridging between the administration and the citizenship, knowing that the reality is much more complex than giving it a label as anti-system. The cause of that they are doing this is maybe because at the end they want to move us away. Because if they label you as anti-system, nobody is going to hire you. And they will get this contract, whatever it is, they will get it. So again, I think that we want to do the things we are doing about participation, and I want to say that participation must be designed. You cannot say, let's participate. You have to do a good design of what participation is.
And I will sign afterwards.
but the project of designing is a project itself. But I also don't want to renounce, as an architect, to what traditional architecture is and traditional knowledge is. We don't want, me and Thular, we don't want to renounce to that also. We want to mix, we want to be a part of traditional architecture and we want to learn about it. But we want to put in the table what it's happening now in the streets. It's happening now with the crisis. And I have to say that it's also true that in Spain we have built a lot, and it's very difficult, really difficult to find something really good. And this is also very critical.
I have a microphone, so but I want to ask Manu about something, because when I was in Spain and I've seen this kind of movements, I feel it's like a kind of a change in the paradigm for the young architects. So my question to you is, and this is the way you work, it's completely different than the Norwegian ones in your age. They are sitting, they are going to office, they get a job, and they're sitting with AutoCAD or Revit or whatever, and make drawings, and they build an office, and they use 2 years to draw details and this kind of thing. So my question is, at last, this way you work now, is that a way you also want to continue to work as an architect, or do you want at last to be a normal one, to sit in front of AutoCAD and in an office? And
I want everyone to work as they like. I mean, now in Spain there is not the possibility of someone that can hire you and work for him. It's not this possibility. It's not.
But is it a kind of change in the paradigm for the young ones? So they can they go back to the normal way to be a studio architect, to only sitting in front of a computer, or have this thing changed the young generation so much that a mix between these two worlds, it's the only solution?
No, I think that the things has changed.
Yeah.
We know that we cannot go again in this craziness of building again. Yeah. So, because there are so many architects and so many students in architecture in Spain and in the whole world, we have to manage to find another way of being useful, for the society. So I want everyone to find the things in which they want to work. But now, the situation in Spain is that you have to manage your own work as you like. You have to, you know, it's something you put before. You have to have, I mean, if you are bored, you are something that you're doing something wrong. You have to find your own way. And now, everybody, I mean, there is not the possibility of working in a normal studio, so you must find your own way. Yeah,
but because what I think about this thing you learn now, it's so important as a human, as a creative person, that it will be really go one step backward if you stop this kind of creating your own future or something.
I think, ahora voy un momento, solo quiero decir una cosa. No, I think, very briefly, because we have more young architects here, that the richness of these years is that architects have learned that they can do a lot of more things. So in the future, if there is money again, they have the freedom to choose. And I think this is the most important knowledge we have now. No? So you can go, if you like it, you can go to be a CAD monkey again. And if you like it, you can be in participative projects all your life, but you have the freedom to choose because you have opened your mind to other possibilities. Yeah. I don't know what you...
I'm not sure about what's the answer, but I don't know if Spain will have money again, ever. But what I know for sure is that we will need the same amount of compromise in the future than now. I mean, maybe one day we can sit in front of the AutoCAD and we can work in our office and do big things. But if we do not assume that compromise that we show today, and I think all feel more or less, with the people, with the city, it's just we will be lost again. And another thing I wanted to say, I'm an architect. Also, I'm specialized in designing structures. But I also do documentary films, and I also do caterings for my friends when we do some films. I mean, I can be a camera or a cooker. So I really cannot stand in front of a computer more than 3 days a week because I just turn mad myself. It's kind of it's like a life position. I don't want to be in front of the computer for forever. I just want to do things with my hands. As Ethel said, I feel able to afford other disciplines with the knowledge that architecture has given to me. So I think we are all together in a big mess of etiquetas? Of labels that makes us communicate ourselves in difficult ways. I just want to. When I was 17, I remember telling my friends, I want to be an architect, but I really don't care what would be my job. I mean, I always felt like this, so I don't know if it's something about the architects or you began before, or is it educational at your house or your friends, your town, Spain, Norway, I don't know. I just know that I'm really happy of being an architect, but I'm also very happy because I can make films by myself. I don't know, it's difficult to say. I want to be just one thing.
Maybe we shall open for the audience again.
Hi, how are you? I'm the other half of the previous question. Sorry, yeah, what can I do? Why now, come on, it's always great to someone claiming too much that is not something, because it gets super suspicious, especially after the pictures you show. Like, I'm not an architect, I'm not an architect, I'm not an architect. It's like it kind of immediately makes you think that you're actually an architect, but you want to refuse for some reason. But I think the question I want to ask is a different one, and is related with the practices for a change that I think in Spain is super clear, that actually all these practices that actually now has been kind of institutionalized to a lot of publications and, you know, collectives or whatever they call right now, I think they share all a kind of a really clear transformation in what architects used to do, and I think it's been already clarified by Ethel, that is, and a little bit what you were saying from Lacole, that actually architects kind of embrace other spaces of production that were usually reserved to other experts. In a way, a lot of the work that you show were kind of people trained like architects, but doing the work of a carpenter or a kind of a builder, or you know, or a sociologist in a way, or you know, there is a kind of extension of the ability to fagotize other disciplines, but in a way also it has two repercussions. No, the first one is a kind of weakening of the expertise of the architect, in a way, kind of prioritization. You kind of become not an expert on your field, but actually an expert in a lot of fields, and then you actually embrace all these other fields. But at the same time, you actually are taking, in a way, the job from other expertise, because there is crisis, and these jobs, probably if you do it, actually you're changing the way the economy is working. No, in a way, you know, basically it's cheaper if you have to design and build than if you have to design and then someone else have to build it, or things like that. And I was wondering if that, I know that's in a way a kind of a result of the crisis, but I don't know how conscious as an operation a result like that it is. You know, like basically when an architect decides to not only design and, let's say, coordinate the construction, but actually, besides coordinated building itself, and actually taking the job and the economy that it's other people is usually doing, is actually incentivizing, in a way, the precariousness of the economy itself. And I don't know if you have thought about it, but a lot of the work seems to point in that direction, and I always kind of ambivalent about the ethical implications of that move. That is, you know, architects now work not only their works, or what they traditionally used to be their works, but actually the works that were usually preserved for other people that didn't get the training of an architect, and therefore were kind of making their life doing these other things. I don't know if you have some thoughts about it.
I think that could apply to not just architects. It could be all over, because as a designer, when I work, the same thing happens with the graphic design industry. To get a job as a designer right now, it's not enough. You can't just be, I was a graphic designer, but now they want someone who's a graphic designer, web designer, editor, typesetter, and publisher, and knows how to print everything in one person, because they don't have the money to pay. Back then, you could have people specialize in doing the different jobs, and you could pay everybody. sorry. But now, they want to get one person that can do all that, because they can't afford to pay everybody, and that happens all over. I don't think it's just in Spain, it's worldwide. In Spain, they don't have enough money to hire even one person who could do all that. Maybe they want now, and plus you have to be fluent in English and speak Chinese, and so that the same thing can apply, I think, from especially reflecting from my group. First of all, it's not razones, it's raons públicas, public reasons, which came from the contest. And we started not from, we don't think it reflects the the precariousness of the economy, but it actually shows the ability to be flexible and learn and not just do one thing, because that's why I strayed and got into this group. I don't want to just be a designer. I'm also a percussionist, translator, English teacher. So there's different things, and I think it reflects this new generation. I don't know if you've seen these videos around in Facebook about the millennials. It's not the generation, it's people are learning all different kinds of things and learning and working with these things. So as a group, I think our group reflects that we don't, I think the economy has to learn, or the people, it's not fueled, it doesn't fuel the precariousness of the economy, but it shows the flexibility in how the system has to change, the way it's all together. And what our group, we didn't start from the crisis. First of all, it came from something that we decided that we wanted to explore. And the group that was actually architects started embracing other people to come in and work from other disciplines, and that's where we came in. And people who want to come and work with us, they're like, oh, I'm an architect. I really want to do what you guys do. And we say, we're not looking for any more architects. We don't want architects. We want other disciplines to learn from, and we want geographers or lawyers or historians. So I think that's what enriches the society. That's what the society in a way needs. In a way, it's a new way of working. And it's not something that would reflect, if it does reflect the precariousness, I think that's the wrong point of view. Someone who takes it the wrong way, or tries to take advantage of it and show that. But I think it's a really positive thing in a way of working.
I think we have to go to drink beer soon, but...
No, we cannot leave without any questions from the Norwegians, please.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
I think it's about two things. I think it's about architects. We like to play. In Norway, we now play with expensive materials, and we get paid. That's quite fun. If we didn't have that, I think we would also play with ropes and old car tires and have fun with that. And I think there's one other thing, like, is this participation project is always, or almost always, about going to some poor neighborhood where people have the time to participate. Kind of. That's my impression. In Norway, we have this kind of luxury version of this, which is called dugnad. It's the thing that when like all the people on my block, my building, we go together in May and we try to improve the backyard together. So together with my lawyer neighbor, we paint the door. We're not very good at painting, but we do it, and we find like great joy in doing that, instead of hiring someone to do it. And I think why we do it in Norway is because the painter is also paid really well, so it's actually worth for the lawyer and the architect to do the paint job ourselves, which is kind of the same mechanism I think you find in some of these participatory projects. And then like the people really enjoy to do things themselves. And you are now making it easier for them, which is nice. Thank you. Not a question, maybe.
Norwegian or no? It's important, this Norwegian question.
It won't be in Spanish.
You have to speak loud.
Okay. The slide was there, if you are bored, don't be here, or something like this. Well, because I would like to ask you a question, because we were projected by the exoticness of the Spanish condition. Okay, your economy went not that well, and anyhow, then the ignorant Norwegian guy said, well, in Norway you just have to turn on your computer and you have office immediately. I would like to ask a very boring question. To run an office in Spain, how much insurance you have to have? What is the capital that you have to put in your office to start it? What kind of legal repercussions do you have to practice architecture? Otherwise, if you don't answer to these questions, all this participation bullshit is just a bullshit. Thank you very much.
I don't have an office.
Shut up then.
We do have costs. We do have costs as a company. We try to be cooperative, not a usual company. I don't know the names in English. I know the minimum capital you need to have to build up a cooperative is 3,000 euro, which is very, very cheap. But then you have to hire people. You have to pay it to the social insurance and all that. And after that, so I guess it's more or less the same. I mean, there are taxes that you have to pay just to have actively working people inside. And we do have insurances, and it depends. The price depends on the size and on the budget of the building. So if you do something little, you would pay like 30, 40 euros per year during 10 years. Always is 10 years insurance. And if you do a big building, like I don't know, big building like this, maybe you have to pay thousands of euros per year during 10 years. So we do have costs. I don't know what was you say the repercussion of our work or something like that. I don't remember the third part of the question. The repercussion, but in what way? What kind of repercussion?
I mean, the moment you start practicing architecture, any more serious way than meeting people in one neighborhood contra another neighborhood, when you start actually doing architecture, it involves much bigger stakes.
I do make my living.
Your fact that
okay.
Participation, because just for the fact of audience, when you do any project here in Norway, according to the law, you're obliged to do participatory issues involving the design. So basically, you by law are enforced to do whatever you do there. So basically, what you are doing here is what we have discussed some times ago. What I'm interested in more is what this participatory issue that the whole panel that is brought from Spain here, what kind of new architectural or, let's say, original, if I may say, in a fake industries way, repercussions does it give to architecture culture? Because what I've seen now, it does not give anything.
How can you say that? I mean, they show a project from Lima. I mean, do you know the local context? You cannot. You cannot judge on the project without. You cannot judge without understanding the context, right? You have to understand the context.
I can reimburse the argument and say, if I represent you how the Oslo waterfront got developed, the Schubholmen in Spain, nobody would give a flying fuck about it.
No.
Why should I give flying fuck
you're
about this?
You're criticizing them, right?
Yes.
You're talking about their presentation.
No, I'm not criticizing them.
No, but you talk about their project, and then you talk about the project that they show about Lima. I don't know if you were in at the moment, but they show a project about Lima. And you have to understand the context of Lima and how the city works and how that empty highway is functioning in the city as well. I mean, how can you judge without understanding the context? Sorry.
I just wanted to say that.
Excuse me, I think you have to be respectful because they didn't come to offend you, and I think you're offending them. Thank you.
I really do not care his offenses. It's quite funny. Thank you. Yeah. I wanted to say.
Thank you. You all deserve Pinsker Prize.
No. But it's very funny all this because this is exactly what we are not looking for. I mean, we have a country that do not have by law the participation, so we have to find it out, and we do not make a living from that. So I make my living with architecture, drawing plans, and also I do my living working as a construction builder. I mean, I have my hands wounded by the yeah, whatever. So I'm trying desperately to make my living. Okay. Apart from that, we do activism because we believe in that, and we are not waiting to a whole system to plan and to do some laws in order that everyone is compulsory has to do that kind of activity. And another thing, and the big difference I see also is that because you have all that plan and you do not question all that plan, you only look for originality and being new, which for me is absolutely banal. I do not need to be new. I do not need a Pritzker. I do not need to be original. I do need people happy. I do need people understanding the importance of the city. I do need people empowered because architects, designers, lawyers have worked with them and they realized, they learned how to see the city in another eyes. In Spain now we have a big platform which is fighting against the... Yeah, okay, and for me, the big benefit of all this, which is collateral benefit, is the empowering about laws and about financial language that people are doing, just because of the participation. So, I'm sorry if we are not what you expected of us, but I do not want to be what you expect. For me, your idea, it's also rubbish, but I'm sorry for that.
Please. Okay, I think we have one of the last questions now.
It's about the participatory processes in Scandinavia, because as we heard, they are down by law, and it's also representing a democratic problem. Because when you have a dialogue, you have an expectation that you will have a saying in that dialogue. But what very often happens here, that you invite the neighborhood, and you invite the opponents, and you have the dialogue, but the project, as it was planned, are going through anyway, despite of protests, because the process is that way, that people should be consulted, they should have a saying, but then it's just an activity, so it's crossed out on the activity list. Yes, we had these consultations, and then we go on. So actually, in Norway, it's a real issue about the participatory processes, because they are not so democratic as they sound in a way.
It's like in Spain environment impact studio.
I think that maybe the big difference is that you have a participatory process from the top down and not from the bottom up. So it happens, it's very human, that when you feel you're living in a completely democratic city or country, you start getting lazy, maybe, as Gisle was saying, because you feel that you have the people that do everything for you. And when you have these social needs, you start acting because you need it. Nobody tells you that you have to participate because, no, you feel the need. So maybe it's a systemic difference, social difference, economical, or from a period, because in Spain we didn't have participatory projects in the past 15 years because people was very busy doing other stuff. So maybe it comes from a need. It's not something that the government can impose, because if it comes from the top down, it's not really democratic. Let's say, if we understand the whole concept of what democratic can be.
One thing really important is I think that we spoke about participation and a lot of other things. And of course, participation is something that we discussed before the panel, that, I mean, at 6 o'clock in the afternoon today, and thousands of times before, the participation existed before. Lucian Kroll, who's 90 now, spent his whole life making participatory architecture in different, I mean, he built the whole Leuven University with participatory process. That doesn't mean only going to a neighborhood and talking to a few kids that look good in the pictures. So, I mean, participation, and the whole Spain was built that way during the 80s, you know, because the whole shanty towns around Madrid and Barcelona were transformed into social dwellings through participation processes. So, I mean, it is part of the history of architecture, of tradition of architecture, indeed. So we cannot put it in the rubbish like whatever, you know, like we have to take it as another line, not maybe the line, but another line. And we spoke about some of the things. I don't know if we got to find or present or propose new roles for architectural field, but I do think that none of us think we're doing anything new. But we have been invited and we're telling our experience, nothing else. I was actually throwing some questions like precarity, which I find really like interesting about the expensive materials or ropes. I think it's not, I don't know, it's a difference that is really important, but it's not a question of money, but a question of how to deal with precarity in general, precarity for lives. That's another issue. Or the question of, which is, I think, rather interesting, that was around all the presentation, that is what, and Gisle asked it like a few times, what has to happen to have another architecture? Desire, as Ethel proposed, necessity, because, you know, we are bored enough. I don't know, that's the whole thing. That, I mean, why we all go to a studio and use CAD or do something else instead, or started using CAD in the first place. I think that's like the whole, for me, that's like the whole question. Why do we wake up, get up of the bed, and go to a job, and which job? That's the question for me, here and anywhere else. But here, specifically this afternoon, that's the main question, for more than if participation or something else. But what is the whole sense of the practice we do, the job we have? That's the question for me. And participation is really nice as well, so we can spend the whole afternoon speaking about participation. I did it like dozens times, and I will do it 2,000 million times again, because I love it. But I think that's like a wider picture that why we are here, I guess. And regarding the democracy and the problem is, or at least in Spain, we created a commonwealth. We did create a commonwealth. We were bombed to ashes in the civil war, and from that to, I don't know, one point, we created commonwealth. We fought, we worked, just as you did, coming from fisher villages to this commonwealth which we have now. This is coming to an end. Norway will be maybe later, or maybe Norway will be more isolated. You know, more like a rich place in the middle of whatever, like maybe Arabian countries, Emirates, you know, they are surrounded by a few countries that are really destroyed, and they are really, really incredibly, massively rich. They are isolated completely from their realities. But that commonwealth is being destroyed. That's happening, and how can we deal with that? That's the reality. Through originality, capacity, of course, very good projects in any fields, good jokes, good films, good loving, good friendships, of course, but that's like much bigger than the Pritzker Prize. That will only last for 30 years, or less, I don't know. Doesn't have nothing to do with the Commonwealth we are creating. I think it's a single man wealth, and always a man, by the way.
I think we stop this night now, and applause to all the 5 persons on stage.